Hello, I'm Ren, X-Hearted X or Connor, and welcome back to Paintober. This is day 7. I'm finishing up with the Berserkers, thank God. This is just the shading on it. I do quite a lot with these little bases because they are definitely the highlight of these minis for me. I have to say they pulled so much of them together, so much of the stuff I had to deal with together. And the shading on them just winds up being way, way nicer. I believe this is with the Null here. I'm just kind of darkening up the edges around, giving them kind of that nicer tone of that, not obsidian, but just the lava dried magma around. That beautiful rock. And kind of like slightly darken the areas and make it transition to the other parts a little bit nicer. For that, I did do a small bit of Abaddon Black inside of the shade, so that way it didn't just like liquid everywhere and had a little bit nicer of a stick into blending it, I think is what I kind of wound up doing more of. But yeah, they wound up not too bad at all. I was quite pleased with how the bases turned out. The minis were okay. They were okay. They caused me some issues. I'm also not like, I don't know. I don't really like painting with reds. They feel too just angry for me, but at the same time I kind of understand how people want their armies to do that. They want them to feel ruthless and brutal. I'm doing a Karberg Crimson. Oh, that's a hell of a name for one of those. Just along this, so that way it kind of darkens and reddens the inside of the lava a little bit more. I also do it around the skulls a little bit, so that way it has a little bit more contrast on it. And drop that one just directly on the head. Also, the skulls that are on these bases are ones I had to put there. So they're from a little skull box that I got for Christmas, which are just little Warhammer skulls. And I was going to do other ones, but I wound up just using the human skulls because I feel like that gave me more area to work with. So luckily, I just kept with that, and it, doesn't look too bad. I think they added a certain level, skulls for the Skull Throne, blood for the Blood God, and all that. Yeah, here I'm actually applying a little bit of blood for the Blood God to the skulls, so that way they almost feel like fresh, fresh bodies right there. I'm just kind of striking through, giving them that little bit of life that once was sort of feel to them. They look fantastic once I've added that as well, which is really cool. Kind of gives them more than I really thought it was going to, which is kind of wicked. There's a jawbone there, and it's really difficult to see on camera, but it was definitely one of my favorite things to add on here. Just like a rogue jaw for no reason, just by its lonesome. I mean, there's another skull there, but it had a jaw, which was like, hey, this is weird. But yeah, they wound up all right. A lot of the shading, I think, is kind of what pulls these guys together. Here, I'm adding a little bit more blood for the Blood God to these guys specifically. I'm adding it onto their weapons, as well as any other sort of piece on them that I feel as though they would use in combat. So his knee spike, the skulls that are attached to their little tabards there. His horns, I think I also did a little bit of, but it doesn't show on this one. I was trying to cut this down. It was only like 2 hours I painted for all of the shading and everything, but yeah, here I did on the bases, I did a light dry brush of Mechanicus, so that way it seemed like a little bit of ash was on the top layer, which I thought was kind of neat. This is our first Khorne Berserker. He's got a knife, he's got a gun, he's got highlights on him that I've come to realize that I can't actually see the difference in some of those highlights until I watch the camera back. So I'm a little bit stumped on that front, and it kind of makes me sad that I don't know why that has happened to me, but I used to be really good about it, but I wonder if I painted so much that it just wound up messing up my eyes. I don't know. Or maybe whenever the paint's wet, it gives me a different, glossy look to it, and so that's why I can't figure it out. I'm not sure. Here's our guy with the horns. Yeah, look at him. Oh, that's so wicked. That one is wicked. I love the mace kind of guys. I've always been, and this is for video games included, I've always been like a hammer or mace, like just crunch, the big feel of breaking things and destroying things. I like that. That's fun. But I'm also like, I want to be a sniper man away from everything else. This is one of the only models that doesn't actually have a melee weapon. He was supposed to have a gun on the front of his, or not a gun, he's supposed to have a chainsword sort of bayonet thing on the front of his gun, but it broke off in transit, so that we were just sad by that, I guess. There wasn't anything we could do about that. Another chainsword dude. Look at him. I mean, they are pretty wicked at the end of the day. I think it would have been better if I was a better painter for them. But there's something that always comes with time, I suppose. That's the real way to think about it. For the time, even though I've been painting for multiple years, I've only done it on and off for God knows how long, really. So it's not that big of a improvement as time moves on. But these are the coup de grace. Oh, these are my magnum opus from these minis, are the bases, because, oh my God, look at those. You can see the red on it, the deep lava tones, everything else. It was nice. That one was very good. But, okay, this is the end for this Paintober. I'll see you in the next one tomorrow, which won't be these guys, thank God.